The Ace Attorney Investigation series is a spin-off of the main series and features fan-favorite rival, Miles Edgeworth, in the spotlight as the main character. Investigations changes up the Ace Attorney formula just ever so slightly to differentiate itself from the mainline series. In this collection, we finally get an official localization for the second game plus remastered visuals of the original games. So, does Investigations pass the scrutiny of the Court of Game8? Well, let's find out.
Objection!
Since it's a collection, it features two games. The first game follows prosecutor Miles Edgeworth as he gets involved in a string of incidents involving an international smuggling syndicate and a mysterious elusive thief, only known as Ayata Garasu. The second game is set just a few days after the first game's last case. During the first case, Edgeworth makes some risky decisions in pursuit of the truth. This subsequently lands him in some hot water with the wrong people. Both games have 5 chapters worth of story. They both provide the kind of thrill and mystery that you'd usually expect from an Ace Attorney game. The story of the games is well paced and gives you just the right amount of information to keep you interested and engaged at every step of the plot progression. The chapters end with a climactic last standoff that unravels the main conundrum of each case. Who done it? Ace Attorney Investigations will have you at the edge of your seat and scratching your chin throughout the whole story. The games also offer us a different perspective compared to the mainline series. We usually play as the clumsy, awkward, and scatterbrained Phoenix Wright. Now, we get to experience being in the shoes of the confident, calm, and cool Miles Edgeworth. He's charmed the players with his composed demeanor and sassiness in the mainline games, and we're happy to see that he delivers more of it now that he takes on the lead role. The second game also puts Edgeworth through some interesting character development arcs that build on the character development that he went through in the mainline games, but you'll just have to play to find out how that unfolds. The games are also full of fan service and references that call back to the first Ace Attorney trilogy. The most prominent of these fan service pieces is the appearance of the many lovable characters of the Ace Attorney trilogy. These appearances range from being heavily plot relevant to subtle cameos in the background or dialogue mentions. These will undoubtedly have the fans of the games giddily pointing at the screen going, ooh, oh, ah. And of course, we can't forget about Ace Attorney and their wacky names. Especially this guy. Gee, I wonder what happens to him.
Hold it!
If you've played Ace Attorney before, the gameplay of Investigations will be very familiar, although the Investigations gameplay is presented in a slightly different flavor. In the mainline Ace Attorney games, you control Phoenix as you defend clients in a court of law, while also conducting investigations and interrogating witnesses. Investigations follows a similar gameplay structure. However, instead of the first-person perspective from the mainline games, we have a third-person perspective. And instead of cross-examining in court, we're interrogating out in the field. You'll need to pay close attention to every detail in the crime scene, talk to witnesses for key info, and use evidence to point out contradictions in the witnesses' statements. This part of the game really makes you feel like a true investigator. The second game adds more to it by introducing mind chess. This is Edgeworth's counterpart to Wright's Psyche lock mechanic that we were also introduced to in his second game. When you reach an impasse with the witness during your interrogations, the game will put you in mind chess mode. During mind chess, you have to read your witness's emotional state and body language to carefully and meticulously draw out the necessary information without aggravating them, all while under time pressure. It's a brilliant and engaging way to confront suspects, perfectly matching Miles' character. While the game is fun and is true to the Ace Attorney feel, it also goes into the usual pitfalls of the Ace Attorney games, like how you have to follow the game's logic to a T. For example, if you interpret the evidence in a different way than what the game wants you to, you'll be punished for presenting the wrong evidence even though it's very closely tied to the correct evidence. There's also presenting the right evidence on the wrong part of the testimony when the wrong part is very similar to the correct part. There are also times when you have already figured out how certain evidence works in advance, so you may get punished for skipping ahead of the game's intended procedure. But that's more of the player suffering from success rather than any fault of the game. As is normal with the Ace Attorney series, there will be a lot of reading, so if you're not a big fan of visual novel type games or story-heavy games, maybe this one isn't for you. But for everyone who's already a fan of the Ace Attorney series or someone who doesn't mind reading in their game and wants a good crime-solving type of experience, Ace Attorney delivers one of the best in the industry.
Take that!
The HD remaster has done an outstanding job of bringing the DS title to life, making it look better than ever. And the new sprites? Absolutely fantastic! Just look at these DS visuals versus the current remastered visuals comparisons. The new visuals are bursting with color and personality, giving the game a whole new vibrancy to it. I mean, come on, look at that high definition finger wagging! Capcom has a knack for nailing their remasters and remakes, and this one is no exception. It's a total treat. There is also a gallery option where you can view concept art and in-game art that you unlocked, as well as listen to the soundtrack. Speaking of the soundtrack of the Ace Attorney series is iconic, and Ace Attorney Investigations is no exception. The music when you're cornering a witness is just the best. It really gives you this feeling that you're about to break through a thick wall of lies to get to the obfuscated truth that lies on the other side. The investigation tracks also does a great job of making you feel like a detective trying to put the pieces together. The return of the character themes will surely make the fans happy, and the themes for the new characters are also very unique and fitting to each character. I can just say Agent Lang theme, and people who've already played probably can hear it in their heads now. Also, not gonna lie, throughout my time playing this game, I would wake up in the morning hearing the game's soundtrack play in my head. It's that catchy! The only problem we have with the audio is that maybe we can finally get some voice acting in the Ace Attorney series? If not fully voice acted, even just the intro sequence to each case being voice acted would be a nice touch.
Eureka!
Ace Attorney Investigations Collection gives us that tried and tested Ace Attorney formula with a little twist. It also finally gives us the official localization for a game that never made it outside of Japan. The visuals have also been refreshed and remastered as the pretty bow to wrap all of it up. You can get the collection for $40 which we think is a pretty good value considering that the two games visuals were given a beautiful touch-up and that you get two games in one. What more could we ask for? And so there are no unnecessary feelings here as we give Ace Attorney Investigations Collection a guilty verdict. Guilty of being good games with a solid score of 90. Miles Edgeworth is a fan favorite for a reason, and he shows us why he should have more leading roles in the Ace Attorney universe. Capcom, Investigations 3, please? Anyway, those are our thoughts on the Ace Attorney Investigations. How about you? Do you agree with our verdict? Have any objections? Would you want to see more Edgeworth-led AA games? Tell us in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you want to see more video game reviews and video game related content. This has been Game8 signing off.